on Their Own students can be tough to spot. Surprisingly, they often blend right into the school's population. They exist under the radar.
Our students aren't the ones whose behavior is going to get them noticed as needing intervention. They're plugging along.
There are young people, children really, who through no fault of their own are living in an unstable or even dangerous situation.
Most of our kids have a roof over their head tonight, maybe tomorrow night, but it is not a stable nor it is a permanent home. And kids need permanency and lack of chaos in order to do well in school, and that's what we know about our kids, is their lives are characterized by a lack of permanency, a lack of guidance, and the presence of a lot of chaos in their life, and that doesn't provide them with the fertile ground that they need to be good students.
But make no mistake, these kids are motivated to stay in school. They really want that high school degree.
Yeah. Did you buy your cap and gown?
Mm-hmm.
Danielle is on track to graduate from high school this year. She works hard, has a job, and at 17 lives on her own. Her mother and father, she says, offered no stability. Danielle was living in a world surrounded by drugs and violence. When she was 14, she got pregnant. When the violence in her home escalated, she fled to her sister's apartment.
And then my sister's husband developed a serious crack habit, and then my sister got hooked on crack and CPS got involved. I had to leave. So I took off. They were telling me to go to a shelter or something like that, but I didn't want to go with my baby. And so I was just homeless for a while, you know, staying with friends and stuff like that.
She now lives on her own with her 2-year-old. With everything this seemingly tough girl was going through, what finally broke her was having to drop out of school. That's when, she says, she felt truly lost. She was forced to grow up.
Very fast, yeah. So I usually had to take care of myself when I lived with my mom and stuff like that. So, I mean, it was not a dramatic change. It's just actually I had to leave the school setting and go to work, and that's what kind of hurt.
And there, right there, is what Youth on Their Own is truly about.
It keeps you wanting to participate forever and ever and do more and more and more. And that's why I've always said this program sells itself. All we have to do is educate people to what we do.
Dr. Tom Eiler has been a board member and a supporter of the program since its early days.
When we first started, the only way homeless teens could get help, food, shelter, was to get into trouble. I was appalled. I was appalled to find that there were that many kids without parents or without a home or a roof over their head right across the street from me at Amphi.
Today, Youth on Their Own has grown to support hundreds of homeless and unaccompanied youth every year. Our kids come from nearly every high school and many middle schools in the metro Tucson area. Youth on Their Own's core service is the monthly stipend program that serves as an incentive for school performance and attendance, and it takes the edge off their poverty. School counselors tell us all the time, Youth on Their Own is helping to save one kid at a time.
The thing that I see is every year I have about between 10 and 20 kids that I can look at, and I can really wonder if they ever would have graduated had it not been for Youth on Their Own. But you know, I always go to the graduations, and so I'll watch them walking across the stage, and you know, there's always a little bit of a tear in my eye, and I think, you know, how far they've come and how amazing it is that they're graduating.
To graduate, that's what Danielle wants, and that's what we want for her. She works full-time and goes to school full-time and is raising her daughter, now 2 years old, all on her own. But she needs someone on her side, watching out for her and cheering as she climbs.
Since Youth on Their Own is so close, you know, I'll go down to the office, I'll go to the mini mall, go get food, you know, diapers and stuff like that. I was shocked at that. Youth on Their Own actually existed. I was like, oh wow, there's actually a place, you know, because I've just been rejected so many times, and I was like, oh my gosh, nothing's out there.
Now we know as a community, helping students like Danielle is the right thing to do. But as a community, it is also the smart thing to do.
Well, investing in your future is never a bad idea.
Marion Conrad Lalonde is the president of the Youth on Their Own Board of Directors. She's also an attorney for one of the city's highly respected law firms and is active as an advocate for homeless kids.
You know, I'm in a position now where I can really make a difference in my world.
A successful young woman, but at 15, she was much like Danielle. She too fled a violent home that almost cost her her life.
Things really got bad when I was 14 and my sister stabbed me in the head with a pair of scissors. You know, Youth on Their Own found me. I wasn't looking for them. And again, I was a tough teenager, and I don't need anybody's help. I can do it on my own.
But she learned she couldn't do it on her own.
It really changed my life. To have a cheering section, to have people who I knew were on my side, just people who were there who said, Marion, we believe in you.
Youth on Their Own will continue to believe in young people who, in the face of so much chaos, remain determined to stay in school.
You meet everybody and then you talk and you communicate and you're like, wow, there's not just me, and you share with other people who had to do the same thing and you just keep going.
As long as there are kids out there, and they're very deserving kids, they're wonderful kids, they're going to be productive members of the society, then we have a job and a social obligation to make sure they're taken care of.